Hi guys, welcome back to Minimum Wager's Kitchen. I'm Gigi and today I'm going to be showing you how to make easy white bread on a budget. And I'm also going to be showing you how to proof, bake, and rest or loaf today. And with that too, I'm also going to be sharing the batch cost and serving cost at the end of the video. Well you guys, let's go ahead and get started with that recipe and make some yummy dough. Let's get started. Alright you guys, so for today's ingredients, really not a whole lot of ingredients here today. Process does take a little long, but this is a very easy recipe. So let's go ahead and get started. So today I'll be using 2 packets of fast drying yeast, not sponsored. One thing you'll want to definitely have handy too is just a regular like meat thermometer or just a little thermometer that you can go ahead and use to temp your water. Alright, and then the next ingredient for our yeast, that's going to be 1.5 cups of water. And we want to get that to about 120 degrees, not above that, because that will start killing the yeast. And for the last ingredient, that's going to be 1 teaspoon of sugar, and that's actually going to help our yeast grow. And for the remaining of the ingredients, that's going to be 2.5 cups of just regular all-purpose flour, and a little left over so that way your dough doesn't stick. And I'll also be using 1.25 teaspoons of salt and 3 tablespoons of olive oil. I really don't want to spill that. Alright you guys, let's bloom some yeast. So first up, I've gone ahead and microwaved some water here, and I'm going to go ahead and check the temperature. So what I'm going to be using is just like a little thermometer, meat thermometer. There you go. Now we can see that. And the trick is don't touch the sides or any part of the actual dish or whatever you're using to warm up your water, and make sure that you have as much coverage as possible for your thermometer. So now I'm just going to go ahead and check and make sure that I hit 120 or just a little below. This is going to help our yeast bloom, because after all, yeast is alive. It is a living organism. Alright, so I'm at 120 exactly. Yay! Move this over and let's go ahead and add our sugar. So the reason I'm adding the sugar is so that way our yeast can bloom. Basically it has something to eat. We're giving it a snack. And this yeast is going to get really fat off of that sugar, by the way. So first off, I'm going to go ahead and open the packets. Dump in your yeast. And make sure you get it all out too. The other big thing too is make sure that you check the expiration date on the back as well. And last packet. And now, no, I will not be eating this, but I will give this a quick little, just light stir here, just to give this a head start. And make sure you shake your spoon so that way you don't have a bunch of yeast sticking on there. Alright you guys, so this is already starting to bloom. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is cover this up real quick and put this in a warm, dry space so that way it can go ahead and bloom. And I'm going to leave it alone for 10 whole minutes and come back to it. And when I do, I'll show you what it looks like. See you in just a moment. Alright you guys, first run on the bloom here. This does not look right. So I'm going to go ahead and redo this. What I think happened is the area I left it in was not warm enough. So I'm going to go ahead and change the spot. It's a little bit cooler here today, so I've gone ahead and closed all the windows, made it just a little bit warmer here. And too, with the oven on, it's helping out quite a lot. So what I'll do is a second batch here for the yeast and show you what it should actually look like. But yes, it definitely should not look like that. Alright, I'll be back in a moment. Alright, you guys, redo on that yeast bloom. And you know what? I'm such a dork. I totally figured it out. So what I ended up doing was I accidentally grabbed the salt instead of the sugar. Wow, hello rookie mistake. So yes, if it looks alike, make sure you give it a quick taste and then quickly wash your hands. I will be right back. Alright you guys, let's go ahead and redo our yeast here. So for our yeast, let's go ahead and dump in our sugar, not salt. Wow. And your packets, give it a quick shake. Make sure we dump all of it in there. Our second packet. And now we'll go ahead and give this a gentle stir. Make sure you shake your spoon a little bit and get all that yeast off. Now we'll go ahead and cover this up and put this in a warm spot for about 10 minutes. Alright you guys, I'll see you in 10 minutes. Alright you guys, success! Yay! So our yeast is now bloomed. That's what it should look like. So now you can see that that yeast ate up that sugar and just kind of got really fat and just bloomed. So now let's go ahead and get these dry ingredients together. So I've got the flour here and the salt, not sugar, right in the bowl. Give this a quick stir. That way we incorporate that salt into the flour. Whoops! And not all over the counter. Alright guys, so now that our flour and salt is nicely mixed, I'm going to go ahead and do a little well in the center here. Just like that. Whoops! Now I'm going to go ahead and add the bloomed yeast in here. And you can definitely scrape if there's a little bit on the side there. Next, I'm going to go ahead and start from the outside in and start incorporating that flour and salt mixture into our bloomed yeast. Basically what I want to do is get a rough dough real quick here. And for this part, definitely use a spatula, so much easier. Alright, and within not even a minute, you'll get a rough dough, just like that. And you'll notice too that it'll stop sticking on the bowl. So now the big thing is I like to work from the outside in and just fold that dough in. And you can totally use your spatula and do this in the bowl. And I like to do this for a good 2 to 3 minutes just to get that gluten going. Alright guys, so this is the part where I add half of the olive oil, so just go right across the dough there, and just keep mixing. I really like adding a little bit of olive oil to this loaf, just because not only does it give it a really nice texture, but it definitely helps to add to the flavor. So, there you go. Whoops, sliding dough ball. So now what I'm going to go ahead and do is push this dough ball to the side, add half of that remaining olive oil on the bottom. Now I'm going to go ahead and scooch over the dough. That way I cover the whole bottom with a little bit of olive oil. And now I'm going to put the rest right on top. And with my spatula, go ahead and cover the rest of that loaf with the olive oil. And that's what it should look like. Quite the slider. Alright guys, so now it's time for proofing. So I'm going to go ahead and cover this up and put it in a warm spot for a good half hour. And when I come back, you will notice this thing will grow like nobody's business. So we are looking for 2 to 3 times the size. All right, guys, I'll see you in just a few moments to show you what the dough looks like. See you in a moment. All right, you guys, so it's been 30 minutes, and let's go ahead and cover this, and oh my goodness. I was not kidding when I said this was going to be about 2 to 3 times bigger than before. Look at that. It's huge. Let's go ahead and go to the next step here, and that's going to be our second proof. That's going to be for another 30 minutes. All right, you guys, so since this is all ready to go here, move that aside. Sprinkle a little bit of flour here, just about half of it, and give it a swirl. And now we're going to go ahead and dump this whole thing on our surface. Look at that. That's a lot of dough. Okay, so what I like to do is just kind of barely pat this down, add a little bit of flour on the top, the remaining that is. Okay. Make sure that the bottom isn't sticking here. So next, I'm going to go ahead and push the sides a little bit in, just like that. Very light patting, very light. And now I'm going to go ahead and start rolling this. Basically, so it looks like a giant baguette. All right, so this is the hard part. Basically picking this up. And what I like to do is grab from the bottom, and lightly drop. And now that we have our bread in here, I'm going to go ahead and cover this up. And now I'm going to go ahead and put this in a warm spot again for another 30 minutes. I'll see you in just a few moments. See you in a moment. All right, you guys, so our dough is proofing for the second time for another 30 minutes. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is turn our oven on, and let's go ahead and put this at 375. There we go. Perfect. All right, so I'll go ahead and let that preheat. But in the meantime, while we're proofing our bread and preheating the oven, don't forget to hit like, don't forget to hit subscribe, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so you know when the next video is out. Yay! Alright guys, so it's been 30 minutes, and I'm going to go ahead and check on our loaf here and see for our second proof. Ooh, perfect. And we definitely want it to be that high up here. Just don't want to pour the dough all over. But there you go. So now you can see that dough. It's risen almost all the way to the top. And since we've got our dough where we want it to be, I'm going to go ahead and score this real quick. So what I like to do, because not everybody has the sharpest knife to do this, is start from the center on one side and pull, and then other side and pull. There you go. Because I think that looks cool. Alright you guys, now that our oven is preheated at 375, let's go ahead and pop this loaf in the oven. Alright you guys, so we'll bake this off for 45 minutes, and then I will show you what that loaf looks like. Alright you guys, I'm excited. See you in just a moment. Alright you guys, bread is ready to come out of the oven, so let's go ahead and pop this out. Turn off our oven here, and oh, that smells wonderful. Wow, that looks great. Let me actually do one of these so I don't burn myself. And look at that. And it rose a little bit more as well, so yeah. Nice little loaf there. So now, oh. And I'm telling you, it's that olive oil and the salt. This loaf is so good, and I cannot wait to slice into it and show you what it looks like and taste it as well. But first of all, we're going to go ahead and pull this out. Ooh, make sure I don't touch the pan there and burn myself. Now, you really get to see this loaf of bread. And now I can actually show you what this looks like. Yeah. Give this a little spin for you. Easy, happy little bread there. All right, so the next step is going to be wrapping this up with parchment paper as much as you can. Get our towel here. And now what we're going to go ahead and do is just wrap this up with our dish towel here, or a tea towel, whichever you'd like to call it. So now we're going to go ahead and let this rest for a good 30 minutes. That way before we cut into it, we'll get a nice consistency on that crust, and we're also letting our bread rest for a few moments. All right, you guys, so I will see you in about 30 minutes. See you in a moment. Oh, and I can't wait to cut into this and try this. I love this bread, and I think you will too. So if you do try out the recipe, make sure you leave me a comment. All right, you guys, 30 minutes is up, and our bread is now nicely rested. So let's go ahead and open this up and take a look. And oh my gosh, that smells so good. I cannot wait to cut into this. Alright, you guys, so I'll show you here what this bread looks like. There you go. Nice little loaf here. Ta-da! Yeah, nice and springy. I mean, lots of spring, which is awesome. All right, and with a cutting board, let's go ahead and pop this on the cutting board here. And let's go ahead and cut into this. All right, you guys, super excited. So as you can see, with that half hour that we gave it, wrapped up in that either tea towel or dish towel, whatever you want to call it, it's got that nice spring, and the crust is no longer tough or hard. It's nice and soft and springy. All right, guys, let's go ahead and cut into this. So I'll go ahead and cut a nice slice here in the front, first off to show you what it looks like. And of course, with a serrated knife. So let me go ahead and show you what it looks like on the interior. Super springy, and oh my gosh, it smells so good. And you can see the outside portion as well, nice and soft. So the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is just cut a regular slice here to show you what it looks like as well. And there you go. Nice and fluffy, springy. Also too, not too dry, not too moist, just right. And that crust too, super nice. By the way, you guys, this is fantastic for French toast. Highly recommend it. All right, and now let's go ahead and cut this right in half. Oh, came out awesome. Look at that. Oh, so springy, so yum. All right, you guys, before I go ahead and plate and taste this, how much did this all cost? All right, let's find out right now. All right, so how much did this loaf of bread cost to make? Well, let me go ahead and give you the rundown. So for the whole loaf, that was $2.37, and then per slice, that's 14 cents. And that makes about 16 slices. And to compare, I also took 3 popular brands to kind of compare and see how much they cost. For the highest priced one, that was the Orwheat Country White at, oh my gosh, $5.79. That's, wow. For the next one, we have our Franz white bread, and that came out to $3.99. And for the last one, which was the least expensive and popular one, was the Fred Meyer's Private Select brand white bread at $3.49. We are still beating that price. Holy moly. And plus two, I mean, this is homemade. And it smells so much better. And you'll also notice a huge difference on this white bread. It's not sweet. A lot of white breads out there, they add so much sugar. In fact, check the back of the packaging just out of curiosity. I have to say, this makes a better sandwich, croutons, stuffing, I mean literally anything. And I have to say, hands down, I love making finger sandwiches out of this type of bread because it's so springy and because it also doesn't get all soggy and weird. I don't know, there's something about this bread. You've got to try it out. Alright, you guys, super excited about plating this up for you and tasting it. So I'll go ahead and plate this up and I'll be right back so we can taste this together. See you in a moment. I still cannot believe how much that loaf of bread costs, that $5 plus bread. Oh my gosh, what the hey? Alright guys, super excited to try this with you, and now you can take a look at it plated. So I went ahead and left that end that we didn't cut up. I went ahead and left this big chunk just so you can kind of see the middle inside here, or as I like to call it, the tender middle. And put this down here, and a couple of slices here cut. There you go. Smells so good. And then that end as well, so you can kind of see how springy the crust is, because that's important. Alright you guys, let's try this out. I'm going to go ahead and take that centerpiece, because, well, why not? Alright you guys, well, first off, you know me. So let me go ahead and break this open. And that way you can kind of see how nice and springy this inside of the bread is. There you go. So yum. And I do smell a little bit of that olive oil as well, which is really nice. Alright you guys, let's give this a taste. Mmm. Mmm. Texture-wise, really nice. Not too dry, not too moist, and just the right fluffiness too. Guys, the big difference with this bread is that it's not super sweet, so you really get to taste the bread. Alright guys, let's go ahead and try this crust too. That is also very important texture-wise. So, let's give that crust a taste. Mmm. Yum. Mm-hmm. That is really good. In fact, I'm going to have a slice for dinner with a little bit of garlic butter for this. Unless I sit here and eat the rest of the loaf. But it's tasty. And for my Puerto Rican family and friends, well, if you're going to have a nice, yummy piece of bread, you may as well have a little café con leche. And, oh yeah. Mmm. Oh yeah. And that's how you enjoy a little café con leche with a delicious piece of bread. And for my Italian friends and family, la molica. Well, you guys, I had a great time making this delicious, easy, white bread on a budget for you today. Oh, and what recipes would you like to see next? make sure you leave me a comment. And in the meantime, I will see you in the next Minimum Wager's Kitchen. See you next Saturday. Bye. Why am I holding this? I gotta put this down. Walk away.